Alright, I'm going to make a video here. Obviously, whenever I get caught, I stutter a little bit. That's my brain changing gears to make sure I stay on track or make sure that I'm not missing something. So we have a lug that got pulled out right here and tore the paper. This is a hole. They put some electrical up in here. And so I need to fix this. And what I'm going to do is show you why I do things, which tapes. There's lots of different kinds of tape in there, and they're all good for different purposes. Just depends on what you're doing. So right now, what I want to do is I want to do the hole because I'm going to use 5-minute mud on that, and it's 5-minute mud. I got 5 minutes to work it, and then it's a wrap. But the benefit of that is I can do that one first. By the time I make a video about the rest of this, that'll be ready for the second coat. The rest of it's pretty good. So I already cut one hole out, and the way you stop all that paper from tearing is just simply cut yourself a football. And go ahead and tear it on out of there. And you don't have to worry about it. Could have made this one a little bit smaller, but I made it big for a reason. The reason why I made it big is just in case, and I actually need to make it a little bit bigger. What if it was a bigger hole? So what if it was a bigger hole? Doesn't matter. A hole even that size. Get rid of that paper. I have rough hands. A lot of y'all ain't gonna have the hands that I have. So you can grab one of those little green scrubbies for doing your dishes or whatever. All you want to do is just get the paper that's loose, rolled off of it. And so I'm gonna go ahead and go with the mesh paper. The reason why I go with the mesh paper, you should be able to see right through it. My arm wasn't in the way. That's fiberglass. I mean, it's the same paper that you use to fix a boat. What I like about it is it impregnates my speed mud, impregnates that. So I don't really like using paper. I never use paper, or very, very rarely. Grab another sniff of it. Obviously, there would be floor protection if this was a floor we're keeping. This is a bare wood floor, so it's irrelevant. So. going to push out. I'm just going to push it in a little bit. I don't care if there's a hole when it's done. That's the first coat. And so that's that. The other one over here, it's small, so you just want to push mud into it. The better thing to use is speed mud versus bucket mud, which I use bucket mud for other coats, but the speed mud actually swells. So the bucket mud sinks in when it's drying. For a hole that size right there, if I use bucket mud, it's going to be hours before it's dry. This one over here, it wouldn't take as long, but since it went all the way through, it would still take time. The speed mud, as it swells, everything that went through the back, as it swells, it turns into its own lock back there. Same thing with the little hole. It actually swells in the back, swells in the front. It makes a plug. In a few minutes, we'll be able to bang, bang, we'll be able to knock on that like it was. That will be more solid than the wall. That little hole right there. So let's go to this one. Usually I would be cleaning my pan out right now because obviously you only have so much time to do that when you use speed mud. But I'll break it out later. So a hole like this right here, I've got put some wood blocks in the back. Other contractors will skip that step. They won't even put blocks in the back. And they do what's called a speed patch, which is just a piece of drywall. And they get their hole. And then they take all their mud and stick it in all the way around it like they were laying a brick and put mud all the way around it. And then when they put that in the hole, then they would just pull it tight. Here's the problem I have with that. I generally use speed mud and so that I can just get on with this. And speed mud you cannot use with paper. Although many people do it, you cannot use speed mud with paper. The reason why you can't use speed mud with paper is because it heats up. Just like fiberglass or plaster of Paris, in order to dry fast, it has activants in it. And those activants have gas in them. And if you use that mud over top of this, underneath this, well, there's no way for the gas to escape. Therefore, it boils itself. The heat, it actually breaks itself loose from the paper before it's even done. So lots of people do it. I've seen lots of people do it. Some people use half speed mud and half the other, and they think they can get away with it. Maybe they can, but mine isn't going to crack for 20 years. Will they guarantee theirs for 20 years? I don't know. So speed mud, paper tape. If you're doing a big job where you can use regular compound, then it's not that bad. But the other reason why I don't use paper tape is because in order for paper tape to work, it has to have mud underneath it. And if you have mud underneath it, and then you gotta have mud over top of it. And if you do that, what you just created is a hump. It's only a little bit, but on a smooth wall, it's a butt joint. But it ain't even a butt joint. On a butt joint is where two pieces of drywall come together on a long wall. You have 4 foot. And you can spread it out. If I was to do that here, then it would look like a bullet. So that's not what my clients want to pay for. So, yep. Get that. Now, same thing with paper tape. It's more forgiving. It's not as thick, it's thinner. The only place I would use paper tape is when you're putting sheets together and you have your uniform joint down the middle. Yeah, it's a lot faster to put in self-stick tape and then use speed mud on your first coat, maybe even your second coat. But this right here is paper that's made for speed mud. It's self-stick, and there's a reason it's made for. On the wrapper of that, it'll say, now it's been so long since I've seen the wrapper, the tag, I don't know. I don't know if it says do not use regular compound or only use speed compound, but that's what the holes is in it for, so that the gas can escape. This makes a good corner if I'm doing corners on a house. I like to use that because then I can pull one side only. Once that side's dry, then I have a straight edge to do the other side instead of all that waviness of all the trying to get out everything from underneath the regular paper tape. So I use the fiberglass tape, and I pull the ends. The reason why I pull the ends is because that hump, if I'm doing a repair, I'm gonna get rid of that. I'm gonna get rid of that completely. That way when I put my piece in, my tape in there, just like that one. There is no hump. The tape takes the place of that paper right there, and so So, just like that, that's my first coat. First coat, it moved just a little bit, I can see it. That would have been a hump right there. And he's playing with it, it doesn't matter that it's low right there, the second coat's going to get that. And that right there is not quite dry enough for me to do my second coat on it, but that's a patch. That's a patch that's not going to be a hump. You're not going to be able to look down the wall and see a patch. If that was on top of it, just like that paper that I put there, I'd have to run this thing out. I'd have to run it out like a big bullseye to spread out that hump in it. It's inside. One more coat, it's going to be smooth. That's a wrap.